Today I'm going to rant a little bit. Every morning in the financial news, you are told that you are the hero. They don't say that the billionaire fund manager or the Silicon Valley wonder kid, they are not the hero. ठीक है, you are the hero. बोलते हैं कि आप ही असली शक्तिमान, the Indian retail investor as of today. Why? Because as of today, February 2026, the Indian retail investor is investing 31,000 crores every month in the secondary market through the SIPs. बोलता है कि you have decoupled from the global market. When the foreign institutional investors are selling, we buy. When the world is shaking, we stand. So, लेकिन जब भी ये शक्तिमान जो है, which is you, when you look at your portfolio, तो लगता है ये मैं शक्तिमान नहीं, मैं actually मैं गंगाधर हूँ, right? You feel like a Gangadhar because all your portfolios are red. And that is why I'm here today to challenge this narrative that we have created, saying that the SIPs are our shield. In my opinion, SIPs are a trap that we have all fallen into. But, let me explain this clearly, why I'm saying this, Because every time you put in your SIP, you're congratulated for your discipline. You're actually, there everybody says, ki bhai, bahut badhiya, you've done the right thing, SIP is a long-term game. But what actually is happening is that you or your investment is being used as a buyer of the last resort. And when you have become a forced buyer in an auction, where the prices actually have completely stopped making sense. So I want you to think about this as an SIP bubble, okay? And I will explain this with a lot of math and zero emotion. So let's start. So let me explain how, okay? Because everything talks, in math, everything starts with a simple fundamental. And the simple fundamental of this explanation is multiples. Today, this market is running at a 24x forward multiple. ये multiple होता क्या? What exactly is this multiple? It sounds very technical, but let's translate it into plain English. Okay? What a multiple means कि आप आज एक 24 lakhs का फ्लैट खरीदते हो जिसकी yearly rental income is net 1 lakh rupees. Okay? So simple है कि 1 लाख रुपए की net income आती है on an investment of 24 lakhs in 1 year. तो इस पर अगर आप yield calculate करते हो, what is the return that you get? The return that you get is exactly 4.1%. अब इसको compare करते हैं with real life choices. Government of India is willing to pay you 6.78% on a 10-year bond, guaranteed and risk-free. So in this situation, why will you lend your money to a risky company for a 4% return when the state is offering you nearly 7% at zero risk? है ना? मतलब क्यों? Why will you do this? It's like choosing a bank FD that gives you 4% with a ton of risk versus if you just cross the road, आपको एक दूसरी बैंक आपको रिटर्न देगी 7% रिस्क फ्री. और ये है आपका SIP का बेसिक गेम. Because the industry has actually sold you कि ये price does not matter in the long term. Okay? The price will actually come back in the long term. But think about it. Is it a good mathematics for your investment? Is it what you would like to do with your money? Sit on a 4.1% measly return? So why would you exactly do it, right? They keep telling you that this company is going to grow massively. इतनी massively grow करेगी कि बता नहीं सकते. They are going to grow amazingly high. And that is why this multiple is 24x. Right? But if you just go back and see the quarterly earnings growth for the broad market, for last 3 quarters, it is stuck at simple 5 to 8%. Okay? In last quarter, it was the highest. It was about 5 to 8%. But before that, it has been just a simple crawl of 4 to 5%. अब आप सोचो, what are you exactly doing? You are putting your money, going into a Ferrari showroom and saying कि भाई, I want to buy this Ferrari. ठीक है? आप पैसा भी Ferrari का दे रहे हो, लेकिन when you get the car, you are getting a Maruti. अगर कोई आपके साथ ऐसा करे दुनिया में, तो you will say, साला scam है. This is a scam. You will call the police. But here in the stock market, you know what you're doing? You are at every time this price falls or the stock market corrects a little bit, you say कि let me increase my SIP. I'm going to stay disciplined. So everybody, you have to understand that each of these mutual funds and everybody have sold you this story so tightly कि you eventually go up and end up investing in the SIP. Okay? And now let's bring it back to the math. The math doesn't care about your discipline. If the earnings don't catch up to the price and do not catch up fast, then this price will fall until it matches the slow or actual growth of 5%. And all this is happening for last 2 years, okay? And suddenly, two days ago, there is this euphoria of this India-US trade deal, which was announced. Amazing stuff done, right? Tariff was 0%. Then Trump came, उसने tariff को 50% बना दिया. And now in this new deal, the tariff is 18%. Strategic pivot, right? But what do we get in return? We are ready to pay an energy surcharge. We said ki, you know what, we will stop buying the discounted Russian oil and we will switch to the market priced US energy or any energy which is market priced. So think about it like this, ki bhai, for last 2 years, we were getting the oil at 20% discount per barrel. Okay? The secret sauce of keeping Indian corporates and those margins alive. But now that discount is gone. Okay? Now the textile exporter somewhere is celebrating the tariff cut. Lekin there is a paint company, an airline, or anybody else who's using these oils and watching कि भाई ये raw material cost is going to spike. Okay, so this deal is a top line win for a few. As of now, it seems like that. But the bottom line hit for many of us. Lekin this market at 24x feels like oof, बहुत ही बड़ा तीर मार लिया. We are supposed to invest more, and we actually went ahead. All of us retail people, okay, went ahead and started investing as soon as it was done. The not the S&P, अपना index jumped at record highs. And let's continue the story from here. तो we established कि ये SIP at 24x, ठीक है, we established कि हमारा oil का edge चला गया. Now let's talk about the budget of 2026, ठीक है. In this budget, what has the FM promised us? The FM has promised us new, एकदम shiny bullet trains, railways, ठीक है, new ports, एकदम न्यू रोड्स. ओके, रोड्स के बारे में बाद में बात करूंगा, बट लेट्स से न्यू रोड्स, ओके, एंड एवरीथिंग न्यू, अमेजिंग. इलेक्ट्रिक बसेस उड़ रही हैं यहाँ से वहाँ से, ठीक है. लेकिन टू पे फॉर ऑल दिस, द गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू बोरो 17.2 लाख crore rupees. Where is this money going to come from? Right? So this is why the bond yields, which were stuck below, as like, you know, at 6%, have now suddenly jumped to 6.7, and now they will go up to 7% as well, because Indian government is going to borrow more money. And now here is the new kicker, Income Tax Act of 2025. It's marketed as simplified. It simplified everything, simplified almost everything. Right? So in this budget, there is this new thing, which is raised tax on LTCG and STCG, okay, which is 12.5% and 20%. And they've also added कि भाई अगर आप एक dividend, if you're selling, then you will be taxed at a certain rate. Okay. So now think of yourself as an FII sitting in New York. Few things that you have to see. Rupee is sliding almost every day. It has come back to 90, but it is sliding towards 92. Okay. You see that you are going to pay 12.5% tax on your gains. And you see that there is a market which is at the double the price of China or Korea. 24x. China sits at, I think, 16x. Korea sits at about, again, some 16 or 17x. We are at 24x. तो फिर FII क्या सोचेगा? What will FII think? They will say कि भाई, no, this market is too expensive, and so they are exiting in droves. Over 22 billion sold in last year. Okay, and here is the tragedy. Your SIP money is what they use to exit. यहाँ आप SIP से खरीदते हो, वहाँ वो SIP से बेच देता है. So they are exiting the 24x market, and you are SIPing into the 24x market. Okay, so that's the problem. And then every other person I see is saying that there is actually some Amma tax going on here. You know, FM is referred, अपने financial minister, Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, is referred as an Amma. Okay, she's like our mother. वो हमसे बहुत tax लेती है. Okay, but as an FM, she also understands that millions of us are chasing this 24x multiple in the secondary market. So what is she doing? She is raising the tax. She's making it, you know, less and less affordable for us to get into this market and, you know, quickly enter exit. You know, she's saying कि भाई कहीं और जाओ, कुछ और invest करो. ये secondary market में क्यों डालने में लगे हो, right? But obviously we are not listening. We are funding the exits of these FIIs with our own money. Okay? Our faith is in the fund manager of the mutual fund. Okay? But do you really want to trust that person? Let me give you this story. Do you think this analysis is not available to the fund manager of the mutual funds? Okay. But what do you think they're doing? They are continually selling you this SIP, and they're continually telling you that this SIP is your trajectory to the future growth. They're not telling you that 24x market hai. आप इतना ऊपर खरीदोगे तो आपको पैसे नहीं मिलेंगे. वो एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स, देर रनिंग एडवर्टाइजमेंट्स बिटवीन दोज क्रिकेट मैचेस एवरीवेयर दैट दे कैन, एंड देर शोइंग कि एक बंदा है जिसने एसआईपी में इन्वेस्ट करा, यू नो, सचिन तेंदुलकर एंड एनीबडी एल्स ऑफ दोज ग्रेट सेलिब्रिटीज, एंड दे हैव मेड टन्स एंड टन्स ऑफ मनी. 5,000 रुपीज का एसआईपी, 500 रुपए का एसआईपी, 50 रुपए का एसआईपी. ओ गॉड, एसआईपी इज लाइक गॉन इनटू द, यू नो, ब्रेड एंड बटर हो गया एसआईपी. लेकिन वो आपको ये नहीं बताते कि देयर income or the fund manager's money or the mutual fund's income does not depend on the fact कि the return is immaterial. कल आपका पैसा डूब सकता है लेकिन म्यूचुअल फंड को हमेशा पैसा मिलेगा, and that money is a fee that they charge you for investing through them into that mutual fund. So they are not being completely honest about this SIP story, I feel. Okay, and what we feel, and also the other thing is कि we have actually bought into it so much कि we are not even able to see it clearly. And to give you an example, do you remember कि जब last year market was going sideways and no SIPs were making money, they actually changed the ad to tell कि there was this guy who was little sad who said कि मेरा SIP में बन नहीं रहा. So suddenly some of these influential people coming and say, भाई सारे गेम थोड़ी जीतते हैं, कोई ना कोई तो हारता ही है. So think of it as you are losing, but in the long term you are going to win. ये long term कितना long है भाई? How long do you want it to be? When you're investing at 24x, how long do you think this market is going to keep you? And to give credit to the government has actually created some online bond platforms which allow you to invest in corporate bonds with just 10,000. But obviously not many of us are aware of this. They're also simplifying the tax deducted on source on bond. So they're saying ki go choose the bonds, which is, you know, almost an FD, and stay risk-free. Take some simple less returns, but don't go for SIPs. So the government is trying to promote that, but obviously none of us who are, you know, actively investing into this SIP blindly are really thinking about it. Okay. So simple, and Amma is saying ki bhai, go towards the debt, give this money to us, and let us build this nation with your money instead of, you know, funding the exits of this FII. But unfortunately, maybe we are not yet listening. We are still, you know, increasing our SIP contribution towards the secondary market at every dip, and that itself is becoming a problem. Okay, so next time अगर आपको कोई बोले कि SIP है तो सही है, तो please 2-4 क्वेश्चन और पूछ लेना भाई. And I'm sure if you do your own research, you'll realize कि SIP है तो सही नहीं है. Okay, as of now नहीं है. It is we are sitting at a 24x multiple. Okay, so there now let's discuss where we might actually end up. Okay, because we have seen this in last 2 years. FIIs have sold a tremendous amount of money. They are selling and we are buying. Continually we are funding their exit. तो obviously some question is कि ये FIIs इतना बेचने के बाद कभी ना कभी तो खत्म होगा. But again, one more thing that you don't know is कि FIIs have started investing in this market when we were 14x. Okay, the total investment value or the ownership of FIIs was 21% before they started selling. और इतना बेचने के बाद, after 2 years of selling, continual selling, their ownership is now at 16 to 17%. Okay, so वो और 4 साल 10 साल बेच सकते हैं. Okay, and there is another very interesting fact. We always think, रोज अगर आप FII नंबर देखोगे तो you will see कि the numbers are, वो 8,000 का बेचता है, 6,000 का खरीदता है, तो ये 6,000 जाता कहाँ है? That 6,000 is going into the stocks which are at a 16 to 17x multiple. They are looking for value. They're going for the value. Okay. And they are not going into these big caps, large caps. So why isn't your fund manager telling you the markets are expensive? Because for them, the AUM is the king. AUM is assets under management. Mutual funds also make money from the volume of money they hold, not the value they create for you. Whether the market is at 15x or 25x, they will take their 1.5% fee. So they need your SIPs because they are illiquid. Some SEBI stress tests have proved it. Okay, एक fund would take, or some of the funds would take actually 30 days to sell all their stocks if everybody tried to leave it at once. Okay, so that is why they need to tell you, and that is why you need to keep buying so that they don't have to sell. You are the forced buyer who's keeping this bubble from popping, the SIP bubble. Okay, and they are continually telling you, keep funding this machine. And obviously, all of us are so tied into this SIP story that we keep actually funding this story. Okay, let's move on now. Sorry. So this story has to end somewhere. Okay, either you stop investing in SIPs or you SIP into only those stocks which are in proper multiples. Okay, or you go and start investing into FDs for a simple risk-free return. But जो लोग यही करते आए हैं, like if your money is stuck, then you must understand that these bubbles, the SIP bubble, will not actually pop, it will vent. If the market moves from 24x multiple to its historical 19x average, which is where it belongs at this point of time, okay, given our current 5% earning growth, we are talking about a 21% correction. So imagine whatever that your portfolio is today, and now take 20% off the top. For the millions of investors who have started in post-COVID era, this will be the first time that they may see red. So this SIP bubble is a house of cards which is held up by retail sentiment, which is all of us. And if that sentiment breaks and people stop their SIPs because they realize that they've been sold a dream or a nightmare, that floor will disappear. So you have to be very careful about expectations from this SIPs that you are putting. The India-US deal is a historic win for our nation, but at a 24x multiple, we are sell the news, okay? For all these investors, ये बड़े-बड़े लोग, you should have seen the market on that day, and the simple analysis कि जो market 4,000 रुपए 4,000 point ऊपर खुला, okay, that market actually fell down another 2,500 to 2,500 because everybody from the FIs sold, and each one of us were buying because we were thinking, oh, बस हो गया, बहुत बड़ा, बहुत बड़ा breakthrough कर लिया हमने. But we are actually expensive. So I would urge that you be realistic with your expectations in this market, and also be very realistic about the SIP blind buying habit. And don't be your own enemy. सब आपको शक्तिमान बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन you realize that if you keep making these mistakes, you are going to be a Gangadhar, including me. मैं भी कोई बहुत तेज smart नहीं हूँ, but obviously you learn these things. So I hope that you are able to understand something from my story. So thank you for patiently hearing my point of view. And if you feel that you need to add anything to this, okay, or counter me on any of my points, I'm really open to have a discussion. You can comment or you can email us, and we will keep this conversation flowing. Thank you for your time. And if you really think that this content was good, maybe just hit that subscribe button. And even if you don't, that's fine. But at least अपना SIP blind मत करो. ठीक है, शक्तिमान ही बनो. Thank you.